Good evening and welcome to Driver's Ed. Hopefully you had a great day and enjoyed the sun a little bit getting outside. So please sign in on the comments. Please text me that you're here. Welcome, welcome. Starting to see more people jumping on. Looks like we're getting a good crew early on tonight, so the articles that people were doing for distracted driving and texting, very good. Good job getting those articles out. To me, I was able to go through a good majority of them. Also, I like the response on the fee or fine for texting. It's interesting to see what some of the states were. Some of them kind of low, some of them kind of high. And we'll be using that information a little bit later tonight in class. So what we're going to do, since we've got most people here, I would say, let me get out of the music here so we could just have some information brought to you. Saturday, remember you're meeting me at the high school with your textbook. If I do not receive a textbook and the payment for the program, then you do not take a final on Monday. Monday's final is 100 questions. I'm going to give you a sample tomorrow in our review class of about 70 to 80 questions that could or could not be on the test, so that will give you a primer of what to expect. Do not think that the final is going to be like the midterm. It's not going to be heavy on signs. So if the sign portion was what was giving you a problem, then don't worry. The final is going to be a little bit different. The final is like the midterm. It's going to be multiple choice. It will be on your phone, and you have, I think, about 90 minutes to do it. So it's going to be the whole class on Monday evening. I will be online if you have any questions, so you can text me. So take the test on a computer and leave your phone open to send me a text, and I'll try to answer any questions that you have about the final. So tomorrow we'll be wrapping up on a few loose ends that we didn't cover. Fatigue. We didn't cover putting fuel into your vehicle. And I'm going to look to see if there's anything else that I may not have covered. We'll take a look at the manual real quick for about 10, 15 minutes. And then I'm going to let you do the sample questions that I did a program, video program. So I'm going to download the video program. It will read the question and then it will give you the answer. So it will give you a chance to see how well that you did. So tonight's class is on two subjects that are pressing in the field of driver's ed. There is nothing that is giving more drivers an issue on the roadway than people getting upset behind the wheel of the car and taking out their anger on other drivers. Road rage is rampant. It happens daily. I don't think you can look at a newscast or a newspaper where somewhere in that segment of news that they're covering what's happening out on the road. The second half of class, what we'll do is we'll talk about distracted driving and what can we do, what is the penalties here in New Hampshire, and what to expect if you do get stopped for texting and driving. And the issue is different for young people than it is for older people. So let's take a look at road rage. This is not a big subject that is in the state manual. It's not even in responsible driving, although emotions was covered. But let's take a look at Road rage. Don't be a victim. It could change your life. So here are two people. Two men face assault charges after a road rage incident that led a person with a flashlight to attack somebody else that used an angle grinder as weapons against each other. So what I wanted you to do in your article, and you give a response what could have been different, think about this case scenario right here. Why would someone with a flashlight go after somebody with a construction tool? It seems a little bit... Oh, Echo? Thanks, Anthony. Yep, I see it. Echo, gotcha. Thank you. So what would cause somebody to do something as crazy as attacking another human being? Now, this was Boston, Massachusetts, so this was taken from the local newscast. I believe this happened this fall, so it's really not that far removed. But take a look at this particular person in Massachusetts.
It's not a movie scene, but real-life road rage. After a fender bender, 65-year-old Richard Kamrowski jumped on the hood of an SUV, attempting to leave the scene. The driver speeding up to 70 miles per hour on the busy Massachusetts Turnpike during rush hour.
He kept going fast, slow, tried to get me to slide off. I wasn't getting off the car.
Kamrowski managed to hang on for miles as an onlooker captured the dangerous highway ride. At one point, you see Kamrowski looking down at his phone, dialing 911 for help.
Kind of like just survival mode.
The driver finally hit the brakes when Good Samaritans blocked him in. One bystander drawing a gun. Police arrested the driver, Mark Fitzgerald, for assault with a dangerous weapon, among other charges.
He took my water bottle out of my car. He smashed my window.
Police also arrested Kamrowski. He's charged with disorderly conduct. Two men on one wild ride that started with a minor crash and ended with major drama.
So let's take a look at that. Okay, they had an incident and they were trying to work it out in a parking lot. It looks like they weren't going to be able to figure it out who's to blame. Apparently someone got a little angry, started to drive away, and the older gentleman said, "You're not driving away, you're staying here till the police come." Why would a 65-year-old man jump on the hood of another vehicle? Because you know that he's driving away. I mean, you could have lost your life. You could have been seriously injured. And notice in the newscast that both people were arrested. So a lot of times they're going to let the court system figure out who's to blame. And in this case, I don't care. I'm not driving away with anybody on the hood of my vehicle. That is where you let the police come. You let police sort things out. You don't let things escalate. And escalating is going to make things a lot worse. So what are we becoming behind the wheel of the vehicle? Why do you think we're so frustrated? Why do you think we're getting so angry? This video clip came from a special on 2020, an ABC affiliate, I believe out in Colorado, did this, about what are people actually doing behind the wheel of the car. So I wanted to show you this 2020.
We all have it in us, even if we don't know exactly where it is. A limit, a breaking point, a dark place where civilization ends and animal instinct takes over. And there may be no faster way to get there than right here, on the roadways of America at the intersection of velocity and violence.
Oh, we have 2 victims here.
You've seen the stories leading your local news.
Another case of road rage.
And polluting YouTube. What feels like a daily diet of road rage reports. Just last week, this shocking video of an incident on a California freeway leading to a multi-car crash.
Call 911, Chris.
Nearly half of all drivers surveyed have experienced some form of road rage. Here in Denver, the mile-high city, drivers have hit new lows. And local officials reporting deadly traffic crashes have been slowly creeping up for several years.
We know you're fed up. So are we.
We came to see for ourselves. It didn't take long for us to find it. Rocky Mountain Rage.
Golly, that guy. He was like almost in our lane.
You want reasons? Look around. The city's rush hour turns freeways into ant farms. It's a stop-and-go sea of brake lights.
Yeah, it's not moving up there.
What typically should be a 30-minute commute can take nearly an hour and a half, enough to turn any driver into a ticking time bomb.
I was surprised at how bad the traffic is in Denver.
It's heavy, it's crowded, and it's aggressive.
Captain Jeff Goodwin of the Colorado State Patrol is fighting the uphill battle against an army of hot-tempered motorists.
Don't touch me!
There is that group of individuals that get up helter-skelter every morning. They're never on time. So now they're running late and they've got to make up that time. So how do they do it? They do it by pushing people out of the way, cutting them off, changing from the inside left lane all the way to the exit ramp right as they get there.
Goodwin believes he's pinpointed the root of the problem. With more than 100,000 people transplanting to Denver every year, it's as simple as too many metal machines, not enough pavement.
I used to think it was something like people cutting you off. But you know, one of the things that people really get angry about, if somebody honks the horn at you because you've sat too long at a light, I think they literally go from the Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde.
Around the country, it's not just gangbangers and street thugs mixing it up. It could be any of us. Take a look at these guys in business attire doing the WWE SmackDown. We showed the good Captain Goodwin some examples of bad behavior, and he provided us some potentially life-saving road rules to help you. Rule number 1, don't make eye contact.
This motorist is out of control. And this victim is doing all the right things.
Just stare ahead, don't engage.
Right. Yeah, the minute you engage, who knows where this goes?
Rule number 2, never approach the window.
All right, wow, okay. This is more than over the top because now you have a gun involved.
So you're gonna pull your gun out? What kind of...
You never know who's packing heat.
Exactly.
Is approaching someone's window ever a good idea?
Never do it.
And most important, rule number 3, you don't always have to win.
Looks like it's gonna be over.
But as we see in this case from Houston, the parties involved just can't help themselves.
And here we go. There you go.
I mean, now they're at full-blown fist fight.
Right, this is what happens. It gets worse. The longer this goes, the worse it's gonna get.
It looks like they just need to win the argument.
That's what it is.
It was 4:15 when we hit the road with Goodwin and his team. They prowled the interstate looking for bad behavior.
We're looking for aggressive drivers.
Triggers.
Holy
which often lead to the road rage we see on the news.
This is a 75 mile.
Well, we're doing 17 and a 75 at rush hour.
I got a lady who was texting if you want to pull her over.
Within minutes, Goodwin's team has spotted a common breed, a texter at the wheel. Goodwin says distracted driving, the #1 offense that sends drivers into road rage.
And how does that end up leading to road rage?
Well, when she's texting, she's not paying attention to everybody else out here.
Next, we cross paths with a Leadfoot speedster, the deadliest kind of aggressive driver.
I could see him in the rearview mirror weaving in and out. He was trying to find that opening.
And that's when people get mad.
Right.
It was now 5:45, the road rage witching hour.
Yeah, we're pulling out.
Goodwin says the peak time for trouble. And the cops had busted this aggressive driver for skipping the off-ramp and blazing her own trail altogether.
Right now, there's a warrant for your arrest.
Her prize? Some new bracelets and a ride in the fast lane to the county clink.
She doesn't have a valid driver's license either, so that's been canceled and denied, so she shouldn't be driving anywhere.
We'd found ourselves at a notorious hotspot.
So This is the frontage road where we have a lot of our issues.
And got a dose of full frontage fury.
So people will be frustrated. They'll come off the frontage road, and then they actually will do this, believe it or not. They will drive here.
Holy cow, this is so steep.
And they will find that steep drop down to the interstate, and they will bounce their way back down into Interstate 25. All because they're angry about sitting in traffic. Off-roading on I-25.
Yeah. As Friday rush hour traffic mounts once again, we spot this guy who thought he could make up time bypassing all the drivers ahead of him, riding along the road's shoulder. But he's going nowhere fast today.
Go over here.
Hey, sir, do me a favor and stay in your car while we do this business, okay? You passed about 7 or 8 cars going alongside them on the right. You went over the white shoulder. That's not a lane for turning. It's not a lane for passing.
Like many road rogues, this guy's idea of defensive driving is making excuses for his alleged moving violations. He even called 911 to complain about being pulled over.
He stopped me first on the train track with the train coming down the road.
And now that he's caught, he's upset, just is not in agreement at all with what's going on here. So that's his beef.
There goes the guy. There he goes.
Next, check out this blue truck. The driver has jumped the median, passing up other cars, hightailing it the wrong way into oncoming traffic. Captain Goodwin pulls him over, hand on the holster.
What was it? You're not getting in the car.
I haven't seen anybody drive that aggressively in years. He's doing about 90 miles an hour. He damn near hit several cars back there.
I charged him with reckless driving. He just didn't plan on having any law enforcement around to stop him today.
You don't think it's just a Y chromosome thing?
You see a lot of aggressive driving from both sexes.
Everybody drives crazy.
Yeah, it's
Okay, what you have to realize is that anger is a human emotion. Everybody feels angry, and I think now with the COVID, everybody locked in, not able to do what they normally are able to do, that frustrations are running very, very high. And I saw in a news report probably about 2-3 weeks ago, before I started driving with students again, that even though there are less people out on the road, we are finding police pulling over more people for speeding at higher rates than ever before. You would think that nobody would be late to get to work, but because they know there aren't many people on the road, so the road's wide open, that they're just doing whatever they want to do. And they don't expect the police to be around to pull them over. Now, the 3 things that they mentioned in the video that I want you to write down, and this is about if you're being confronted with someone that is angry at something that you did, is, first of all, don't make eye contact. A lot of times facial expressions may make the situation worse. Probably you could remember a time that you did something and your parents looked at you and said, "Don't give me that look." And then your parents got a little bit more angry. So a lot of times, don't get involved in what is being said. The second thing they said is never approach the window. So we're talking now, you're getting out of the vehicle. You're the aggressor. You're trying to show your anger to another driver. Never go to someone else's window. Okay? It's only going to make things worse. And the last thing that they mentioned in the video is, who cares what happened? Don't let it get any worse. You don't always have to win. A lot of people think that they've got to pay back aggression with aggression. And you've probably heard 2 wrongs don't make a right. That's especially true with road rage, because usually it starts out as a small incident and then it leads to what we saw in the video, where people are using their vehicle to ram into other cars. They're using golf clubs, baseball bats, and everything. So the 2 terms that I have here, I want you to write down so you have a basic understanding of how it really plays out. Anger is a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. When you get mad, you act out on that feeling without any reason or judgment. So it's like a tantrum. It's like a little kid not getting what they want in a grocery store. They fall to the ground, kick their feet, stomp their hands. Okay, not a good thing. Everybody gets angry, but not everybody gets mad and acts out on that feeling. Here's a person that did just the opposite. She was driving her daughter down the highway in Florida when a woman was not happy with her speed and passed her and flipped her off for going so slow. But further down the road, this woman that was flipped off saw the Jeep that was angry at her, had lost control of their Jeep, and had gone off the road and was in a bad situation where they needed to be pulled out. So this woman, rather than saying serves you right, she should have been angry because she got flipped off. She decided to do the right thing and go down and help that woman in the Jeep to get out. And it just goes to show that you're the one that is in control of your emotions. Don't let your emotions control you. You've got to tell yourself, I know better, I know what is right, I know what is wrong, and I am going to act upon what I know is right. So what are some of the reasons why people feel they've got to act out? They're late. And when you're late, you tailgate people. You're just really upset that someone's not going the speed that you want them to go. Sometimes people just like to go fast. So when someone holds them up and they can't go fast any longer, they're going to beep their horn, flip them off, make driving really uncomfortable for that person. Sometimes you just may cut somebody off. You don't realize that you've done it, but you did. That is a sign of aggression. That is road rage. Being a tailgater, getting too close, definitely a sign of a person that is being tailgated. Being passed. Sometimes people say, you're not going to pass me, and they speed up. So you're trying to get by somebody, and they're speeding up, and they won't let you back in. I think we talked about this when we had highway driving. And then the last one that is a problematic is someone taking your parking spot. And I tried to find a video that I've shown over the years, but I can't find it. It's a picture of, or a video of someone taking somebody else's parking spot at Christmas time. And they really get into it. They start ramming their cars into each other, screaming. It's just a mess, but I couldn't find it. Maybe I'll be able to find it for tomorrow, but I couldn't find it for today. There it is, right there. It's actually a sitcom, but it's based on a true incident. Road rage will, and I want you to write this down, lead to crashes. People that use their vehicle as a weapon. There will be physical confrontations where people will follow you to school, follow you home, follow you to work. So be careful with that. You'll get a ticket. We call this, and we saw this in the video from the Colorado video. The pickup truck that jumped the median, he got an aggressive driving ticket. It's a couple $100. It's not cheap. These tickets aren't, your run-of-the-mill, only going 5 above the speed limit, not having your car registered. We're talking well into the hundreds, paying that kind of a ticket for aggression, road rage. And in some states, New Hampshire's not one of them, there could be jail time. Okay, they're not happy with your behavior and they think putting you in jail. And they don't do it for a long period of time. You may get a sentence of, let's say, 4 days, like 4 consecutive Saturdays, so you don't lose your job, but you get a taste of what it's like to be in jail. So don't think that if you drive aggressively in another state, that it may be something that happens. Let me show you. This is a New Hampshire incident of road rage. Let's see if I got this. Let me show you. This is a New Hampshire road rage incident.
PD tonight. Eller is keeping his license for now.
Well, Tom and Tiffany, the judge thought it would be important for Eller to continue to drive as he looks for work. But it's hard to say what the employment prospects would be for a guy who can't explain why he decided to run someone else off the road. Police say they've never seen such a blatant case of road rage. Friday morning, 18-year-old Cody Eller appeared in court, charged with felony second-degree assault and vehicular assault. Just a few hours prior, around 4:30 a.m., investigators say he intentionally veered his Ford Fusion into a man on a motorcycle trying to pass him on Windham Road in Pelham.
Mr. Eller admitted to the officers, made some sort of a comment to the effect of he wasn't going to allow the motorcycle to pass him. And that's what he tried to force him off the roadway.
The victim ended up at Parkland Medical Center with a broken leg. The wife of 45-year-old William Hawksley says her husband was riding his Kawasaki from home in Brentwood to work in Lowell. Now he'll need surgery to fix his leg. News 9 caught up with Cody Eller after he bailed out.
I wasn't thinking at all.
Eller spoke briefly, admitting he was as confused as anyone else as to why he did what he did.
I am not a dangerous man. I did not mean to do that, but just my thoughts and my actions just wasn't correct.
Court paperwork indicates Eller sped up and crossed over the double yellow line to hit the bike as Hawksley attempted to pass on the left. A neighbor on 111A apparently witnessed the crash and called 911. While Eller has no explanation for his actions, he does want to apologize.
I'm sorry for what I did, and I did not mean to hurt that guy with any intention.
Mr. Eller does face some serious charges, but he does not have a prior criminal record. His only previous brush with the law was for speeding. Reporting live in Pelham tonight, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Just basically what we talked about just earlier on another slide about reasons why people react aggressively. He didn't want to be passed. Think about it. Why would that bother you? Why would you let someone that's passing you bother you? And the other telling part of this was when they were interviewing him at the end of this segment, he didn't know why he did it. A lot of times we act out of thought. A lot of times we think about what we're going to do and we act on it. Sometimes, and in this case, we do things and we have no true reasons to base our actions on. We don't know why we did it. So we have to keep ourselves or keep our mind active in our driving, saying, I know this is making me feel uncomfortable. I do not want someone to pass me, but I'm not going to cross over the center line to cause harm to somebody. You've got to basically tell yourself that you're not going to act upon some of your thoughts that come through your mind on a fleeting moment. Usually you shouldn't react on something unless you've thought about it for at least 5 to 10 minutes. So let's talk about the mental process. So I want you to write this down. There's going to be a mental part of road rage and a physical part of road rage. First part is mental. It does change the way you perceive things. When you think that someone is doing something wrong, there's a sense of you feel like you've got to show this person justice. You're going to be, there's no police officer around, so I'm going to teach him a lesson. You become preoccupied with trying to find ways to get back at somebody. I want him to know how angry that I am that he passed me, or how angry that I am that he cut me off, or that he has his high beams on. So most of the time when we get angry, that it's not solution-based. We just get caught up in the emotion part. And as I was saying earlier, give yourself 5 or 10 minutes. It takes time to overcome that anger. Don't just be spontaneous and within an instant act upon it. Give yourself time to talk yourself out of it. Now, while you're doing all this thought process, your body physically is going to start to change. If we were to hook you up with a blood pressure cup, we would probably notice that your blood pressure is getting extremely high. Your heart rate is getting faster. There is some muscle tension. You may get stiff. Body language is very evident. People will be banging on the dashboard or the steering column to let people know that they're going too slow if you look in your rearview mirror. So that's one thing I'll tell you, that when you drive with me, is that even though I want you to check your rearview mirror on a regular basis, I don't want you to get so preoccupied that you change the way that you drive. You know what is right, you know what is safe, and I require you to do that. Don't let a person behind you dictate how fast you drive or how you do a particular turn or parking maneuver. You control your situation. Be aware of people, but let them just handle that and cool off in their own vehicle. And by the way, it's interesting. Let's have our first question of the night. I want you to put it in the comments so I can see who's still here. In the comments here on YouTube, write down whether you have a parent or both parents that have road rage. How many of you have parents that will talk out loud in the car, screaming at other cars? Let's see how many people will admit that they've got parents that have been modeling the wrong type of behavior with road rage. So let's talk about solutions. Why did it happen? You got to think sometimes you may have contributed to the problem. Maybe you're going too slow. Maybe your high beams are on. Maybe you didn't have a directional on when you made a turn. So a lot of times when people get upset, there was a reason why they are upset at you. Second thing, after it's happened, you can't change the situation. You've got to just let it go. There is no positive outcome with payback. It can only get worse. I like the people putting in, control the task at hand. Think about, am I going to school? Am I going to work? Am I going home? Wherever you need to go, that is where your focus is. So what can we do inside the car when we start to know that people are coming after us, or we feel that they could be coming after us? Breathe, relax, pull over. Anything that is going to make you feel better about the situation. You don't want your emotions to get so out of whack that you forget to see stop signs, traffic signals, other cars, because when you do get worked up, your driving will be affected, and we don't want that to happen. Let's see, I think this might be the last bullet. Yeah, one other thing that I want to mention before we get into distracted driving. If you're being followed, okay, you can on your phone call 911. Okay, that is, and we're going to be talking about that in a minute. Someone under the age of 18 cannot use their phone for any reason other than 911. So being tailgated, feeling threatened by an aggressive driver, that is reason for you to be on your phone. Second thing, go someplace where there are other people. Notice in the first clip that I gave you with that 65-year-old was on the highway on the hood of the car. Notice how many people pulled over and tried to help out the situation. Actually, one guy pulled a gun on the driver. Be around other people that may support and help you get out of the situation. Drive to the police station. Drive home where you know you have family members that may help you. Just keep driving. Maybe if you drive for 15, 20 minutes, they're going to get bored with following you and they have no idea where you're going. Just drive around for a little bit just to try to, I wouldn't say drive erratically to shake them. You know, don't take corners real fast and, you know, kind of go down an alleyway. But the more that you drive, the more they may come to their senses that they're doing something wrong and they'll just kind of let you go. But I will tell you, this is so true. Most people will experience road rage within the first year of their license because people will aggravate you. That's just human nature. What you do with that is going to what makes the difference. You do not want to be a victim. You do not want to make things worse. And I will tell you, because I'm in the car all day, I see it every week. I may not see it every day, but every week I will see somebody that's beeping a horn, flipping somebody off. Sometimes it's us, but at least around where we're driving, I see it all the time. It is something that you're going to have to learn how to deal with and hopefully come out of it without any real problems. So that is road rage. The last thing I want to talk to you about tonight is distracted driving. And texting by far is the number one reason of why people are distracted. We are so glued to our phone. I'm going to kind of get out of this for a second. Get to me. I'm sure that everybody has their phone right near them right now, and I think it's a common thing for us to put our phone right near our shifter or on the seat next to us in a car when we're driving, and we're constantly seeing it light up, we're seeing it ring, we're feeling it vibrate if we've got it in our pocket, and we feel like we have to be in touch. I'm going to pick on my son. My son is on his phone constantly. I don't know. Twitter, I guess, is his thing. But you don't always have to be... Oh, echo again. Echo again? Really? I don't see... Huh. I don't see why I've got an echo again. I'll turn this down a little bit. Okay, tell me if you still hear an echo. Because I've turned off the other microphone. Can you hear it now? Is it fine? Hopefully there's not an echo. Oh, there we go. So there are a few notes that I want you to take down. There'll be a couple questions from this portion of class on the final. Distracted driving is really multitasking. Okay, thanks, Adam. What I want you to write down is any activity that takes your attention away from driving. So in the comments, write down, other than your cell phone, write down what you think your biggest distraction will be. All right? So in the comments, other than your cell phone, what would be your next biggest distraction? So distracted driving is the thought of multitasking. It seems safe, but the truth is it's the furthest thing from the truth. Okay? So write down what you think your biggest distraction will be. Let me show you a commercial that was broadcast over in Wales, probably about 5 years ago. Q is the one that gave me this video. And in the video, I want you to notice what the girls are doing. Okay, what are they responding to, okay?
Hi, Jane. My mate Jules fancies you. Huh? It's not even funny now. Let me just get his number.
Ring an ambulance! Ring an ambulance! Stay still! I can't open the door. I've rung an ambulance.
We've got other people on the route to help, okay?
Please, look straight at me for a second.
3 vehicles have been involved.
Right.
2 people in the vehicle there. I can't get any response out of them whatsoever.
The ones in the front or the ones in the back?
Mommy, Daddy, wake up! Mommy, Daddy, wake up!
Right, I just can't get any response whatsoever.
I want Mommy and Daddy to wake up.
your ass, is it? Any pain in your neck at all? You're nice and still for me. Alright? Keep looking at me. Alright? Cassie? Cassie, can you hear me? What's your friend's name in the back? What is it? Jules, is it? No, she's still there for me. She's good.
Okay, let's pick apart this video because it really brought up a lot of good topics that we've covered in Driver's Ed besides what we're covering right now with texting and driving. So let's start with the obvious. Okay, it was a bunch of girls in a car. They were texting. If you could see, I don't know if you could read the message, but they were texting a male, probably a boyfriend, and everyone was concerned about what was being read. No one in the car was paying attention to the roadway. That's the responsibility of the driver. Someone should have read, okay, to the driver what was being said. Someone, if they were going to respond, should be responding and not the driver. But all of them were looking at the phone. Were they in good posture and position in their vehicle? No, they were not. They were leaning away or leaning towards the phone, towards the middle. Another thing we learned in class, airbags come out. How many times? Once. So the initial crash, the airbags came out. The car spun out, went into oncoming traffic, hit another vehicle, but now you don't have airbags. So there were 3 cars involved. Okay? Plus, they were in a small vehicle. Small vehicles aren't safe vehicles. You want a safe vehicle that you drive. This is all stuff that we've covered in class. Now, how many people do you think passed away, died in that video? I made a tally. In the original car where the girls were texting, there were 3 girls. We don't know because at the very end of the video, the girl that they were talking to, her eyes closed, and we don't know what happened. But let's just say that she did live. Probably her 2 friends did not. So we got 2 in that car. The first initial crash was with an older couple. I don't think that they made it. So there's 2 more. Then they careened off the old person car, hit someone else head on. It was a family, and it looked like the only person that was alive was a toddler. The baby had big fixed eyes, and the mother and dad looked in bad shape. There could have been 3 deaths there. So basically that one crash, you have 7 deaths. That's when we talked about insurance. Do you think your insurance policy is going to cover the death of 7 people and the injuries of multiple people? No, it probably won't. This is going to affect you not only mentally, but physically and financially for years and years and years. And it was all based upon a simple text about a girl wanting to know what her boyfriend thought. That is crazy. Now, this is what I want you to do. I want you to get out your phone, and only if it's clean. I don't want any bad language or anything, and I don't want you to put it on YouTube. I want you to text it to me. Okay, this is going to go through through my phone that I'll be able to see later. I want you to write what was the last text that was sent to you or that you sent out. And I'll give you mine right now. Okay, I sent out a message a little while ago. Let me read it. So you've come up to the name Noah. All right, that was what I text out. Okay, not very long. I will almost bet that when you text me what you sent out, it was very short. What you received from somebody was a very short statement. Most of the information that we get isn't really that important, or it's something that we can deal with at a later time. It's amazing how many people think that they've got to respond to every little thing that comes through on their phone. You don't have to write down the statistics, but I do want to show you that look how many people are killed each year. And that's basically 5 years ago, about 3,500. But also look at how many people are injured. I mean, that is a ton of people. How I want you to remember tonight is I want you to remember the different types of distractions. So I do want you to write this down. Cognitive, auditory, visual, and manual. We can break down distractions into 4 distinct categories. The first one is cognitive, a distraction of thought and concentration. This could be when someone asks you a question and you're thinking about how to answer. While you're thinking about what to answer, you're missing a traffic light, you're missing a stop sign, you're missing a pedestrian. Auditory, and a lot of you put down that music is going to be your next distraction. I love music. It'd be very easy to get caught up in the words of a song, the beat of the music, and lose track of how fast you're going, or that you've got maybe a warning light on your vehicle that's telling you something and you're just not paying attention to it. Visual. Your eyes, okay, getting glare from the sun can be a distraction. Having your lights on inside the vehicle at night can be a distraction. And then manual, using your hands. This is where you could be picking up a burger, a cup of coffee. You drop something on the ground while you're driving and you're trying to pick it up, a pen or something, or maybe a piece of jewelry. That's a distraction. You've got to stay focused on the roadway when you're driving. So the top forms of distractions. Number 1 would be texting, then talking on the phone, changing or playing music, eating, grooming, and then passengers. Just simply having a passenger talk to you. I've driven with a few of you already, and those of you that I have driven with, you kind of know I like getting to know you and asking questions. You basically know that by listening to me and responding to, like, do you play any high school sports at Oyster River? I may be doing that at times just to see, are you handling the driving scene while someone's talking to you? I do that intentionally. So if you don't respond to me, I don't take that as you being rude. I'm taking that as you're just concentrating on the roadway. And sometimes it gets, I try to see if people get it, where there are times to answer a question, like on a straightaway, and there's nothing more than keeping your speed and position. But if I'm asking you a question and you're in the middle of a turn or when the light is changing, that's not nice that I'm doing that, but I might also be doing that just to see how you react to it. Can you multitask? Would you just not answer it? So if you're listening, if you're paying attention, be aware that I do things like that. This is an old map, but I just wanted to show you. This was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. There were a few states, and Montana was the only one that didn't have some type of texting ban, but all states have a ban now, and I really like the homework that you guys did last night about states that have their fine schedule for texting. We had Hawaii that was around 100. We had Ohio, I think, around 60. There were some other states that people, Florida. It's going to all be different. So don't assume what we learned tonight in New Hampshire, what your penalty will be, that's what it's going to be when you get caught texting in Connecticut or Texas or someplace. It's going to be different. So just be aware of that. I don't have this video, but I do want you to write down your notes, is that people that text and drive, it has been found to be just as bad as drinking and driving. Your tendencies are the same, where you don't stay in your lane, your following distance is bad, your speed consistency is bad. So a lot of times a police officer may pull you over thinking that you're drunk. In reality, you're just on your phone trying to get out a message. Oh, this is one. You won't believe this. Just because you are talented with texting doesn't mean that you should be like steering with your knees and texting to somebody. I thought this was unbelievable when I came across this, and I said, I've got to put this in my distracted driving PowerPoint.
Ja. Absolute, man. I'll look at the guy, what the fuck? Look at him, man. He's on his phone. He's texting.
So notice that's kind of like lane splitting. And yes, he's on his phone. Just because you're talented enough to balance your motorcycle.
He's just chilling.
And you're on your phone doesn't mean that you should do it. Car in front of him.
Hey, what is it? That's
hard.
crazy, dude.
If he's in a pothole, he's going to go right to the ground. That's not remotely funny. It's talented.
Doing it all,
if I saw this on parking lot,
what?
and he was doing that, I would have a total different reaction. But where other cars would have to swerve and miss him, I don't think that's funny at all. I do want you to write down the number one killer of teens in America is distracted driving now. Okay, it's not overdoses, it's not suicides, it's distracted driving. It's dying in your vehicle from being on your phone. Because everybody has a phone. Everybody has a phone. The other thing I want you to write down, every 5 seconds, or 5 seconds is what the average person would be willing to look away from the roadway and text. So at 55, that's about the length of a football field. And 34% of teens who drive while distracted say they're used to multitasking, and this is why they keep doing it. They just get good at it. So 6 out of 10 teen crashes involve distractions. So usually interacting with more than one passenger, 15%, on the cell phone, 12%, looking at something in the vehicle, 10%, looking at something outside the vehicle, 9%, singing or dancing, 8%, grooming, 6%, and looking for an object would be 6%. And this was from AAA. We already kind of talked about that. Now, I want you to notice, why do you think that there is a spike from 2014? It went really high in 2015 and 16, and then we dropped in 2017 and 2018. I'll give you my take on what it is. From 2014 to 2015, Apple all of a sudden really came out with a pretty hot iPhone, where you no longer were just texting and sending messages, but you could actually get on the internet, that you could actually send an email, that all these cool apps are available to you. So we saw a huge spike when the phones just exploded with all this technology. So for 2 years, 2015, 2016, we were totally out of control. 2017, guess what happened? We passed laws. We saw those numbers spike up so high. Every single state in the country said, we cannot let this happen. We've got to change it. So laws started to be enacted. So in 2017, we saw a change of behavior. 2018, Started to go back up again because people got dull to the fact about texting and driving being a real problem. It's not me, it's the other person that's got a problem. I can still do it. And then people found out that they weren't getting pulled over as much as they had heard that people were going to get pulled over, so they started to creep up their use again. So this is what happens to people that are distracted. They leave the roadway 89%. Rear end collision, 76. Okay, going off at an angle and striking another vehicle or object is 51. Loss of control, 44. Pretty high. Now, here are some stories that, and this was a sponsor from AT&T. Because it's a phone company, they thought they should give out some stories that they heard about people that were caught texting and driving and what happened to them. So I think there's 3 or 4 different scenarios here that we're going to see about people texting and driving.
My name's Grant Hendricks. I'm a trooper with the Missouri State Highway Patrol. I'm at the site of Mariah West's accident. Mariah's vehicle traveled across this median and ended in striking the bridge that you can see behind me. When I got to the scene, her face was disfigured from sliding down the roadway. It's funny, the first thing I noticed about her was her shoes. Lying in the roadway in a large pool of blood, I noticed her shoes, and I thought, this is a young girl. That's the first thing I thought when I saw this. And at that point is when I noticed her cap and gown was still in her car. She was going to graduate the next day. It was just a really horrific scene. All because of a senseless text message. It's just sad. Sorry, it's just sad.
Ashley would text hundreds of messages every day. That was the way we kept in touch. We would definitely text more than we talked.
Mariah was a multitasker extraordinaire.
She could text better than anyone I know. She could be having one conversation with me, completely focused,
while having a text conversation with somebody else.
When you do something 7,000 times a month, you tend to learn where those 26 letters are.
We would be at school, at home, movies, bowling, driving.
Not even looking at her phone.
Just simple,
insignificant,
useless bullshit, whatever it may be.
About anything and everything.
Just a way to pass the time.
It didn't matter where we were constantly texting. This is my sister. She was looking at my message that I had just sent her. When she looked up, she had clipped the median on the left-hand side of the road. Her truck flipped, and as it was flipping, she was actually ejected through the driver's side door, and she landed in the ditch about 300 feet from her truck. People will tell you over and over again, it's not your fault. But knowing that you were the person that she was talking to when she was killed. Just knowing, having a highway patrol officer write in a report that a text message sent at 12:05 is the reason that she is dead is not something that will ever go away. If I could talk to her one last time, I would just say, I'm sorry. This is her cell phone that she used in the accident. 4 little letters. That's what killed her.
never really think about it, but people associate drinking and driving as a dangerous thing. Your vision's impaired, your judgment's impaired. But if you look at texting and driving, your vision's not even there. You're not even looking at the road. If someone were to ask me to drive down the road and close your eyes for 5 seconds or 6 seconds, I would never even attempt that. But then if someone asks, read this text message and respond to that in about the same length of time, well, that would be no problem. I'd done that numerous times in the past before this accident. I was on my way home. I had my girlfriend in the car, and I'm just reading a text message, responding. I was looking up every couple seconds or so, like I always did. And I just hear a loud scream next to me, and the next second I look up and I see a bicyclist crashing the windshield. When I got out of the car, he didn't have a pulse, he wasn't breathing. He wasn't alive. There are no words to describe the level of grief, the level of depression and self-hatred I was going through. My first year of college, I just remember one girl recognizing me and saying, oh, I remember hearing about you. You're that guy who hit the bicyclist because you were texting and driving. That was actually the day before I ended up going to the hospital for emotional problems. I sent one stupid, meaningless text, LOL, and killed the man.
People don't realize it could just take 3 seconds. I was going to the movies and the car just went directly into a tree and it was a direct collision. I was the passenger. I collided with the tree on my right temple and I was declared dead on the scene 3 times. I used to be able to drive. I used to be able to go for walks. I used to be able to run around town by myself. I used to have a job. I was normal. And all this, I cannot do anymore because they had the text. This is the text message that changed my life forever.
The day before her graduation, my daughter drove to go meet a boy, and she never made it. Today, she would have been 19 years old, exactly.
Mariah never wanted a minute to go by that she wasn't doing something. She wanted to do everything all at one time with friends and family and just having a good time. That's what she loved.
Friends would tell me from school that, you know, the best part of the day at school was Mariah coming down the hall because she'd stop to give everyone a hug. Okay, guys, in honor of Mariah. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mariah.
She had met a guy who played baseball, and one evening she just spontaneously got in her car and said, hey, I'm gonna come watch his game. He was texting her to tell her directions of where she needed to go.
And I guess she just looked away for too long. Where are you at, you know? Like that was it.
One of her friends had no idea that she had been in an accident, so he kept texting. We ended up having to send him a text back to say, please stop. She's in critical condition in the hospital, and we don't know if she'll even make it.
She always worked her magic, you know, and still to this day,
Without her being here, she's so much still a part of our lives every day.
She was our sunshine. She really was. She was.
It's a simple text message. Where are you at? 3 simple words.
She paid the ultimate price for her actions. I've had to do this more than once. Mariah is not the only victim that I've dealt with. And it never gets any easier. And it won't get any easier. What is worth losing your life over? That text message?
Some pretty sad stories of people that lost their lives, even though the video, I didn't realize it was 2010, so it's a little bit dated, but still it happens today. I did want to make a comment about the guy that was a passenger, and they pronounced him dead. When you saw him slurring his speech and having a hard time, throwing a ball, that's about as good as his life's going to be. He's not going to really recover from that. The head trauma, so his injury is a permanent thing. And of course, you'd never want to lose your life, but sometimes you live a living hell from an accident, and he wasn't even the one that was responsible for it. So think about your friends that are in the car and your behavior. Don't, act out. So I thought that was pretty telling. Short messages, but yet they still crashed their vehicle. So we already took out our phone, so we know what our last text was. This could be you, where you drift off the road. And remember, you don't even know that you've hit the guardrail until it's going through your windshield. This is why it says why people think they can look down at their phone for 5 seconds and still be able to drive. And you've probably seen this when you've been out driving with your parents, is that people around will look down for a few seconds, look back up, look back down at their phone, look back up. It's a common trait, especially at traffic lights. I think this is one of the saddest stories I came across. Here's a girl that was involved in a distracted driving crash, and she recovered. She made it through. She lived through it. But guess what? A year to the date that she had her first crash, she didn't learn her lesson. She was back on her phone. She died on the anniversary of her first crash. She did not learn. How sad is that? Learn from your mistakes. A year to the date. Can you imagine how her parents feel? So what can we do? I want you to write this down. This would be a good thing to kind of almost end on. I got one more, I think, slide after this. Always turn off your phone, because if you know it's not buzzing or ringing or flashing, then you're not going to be tempted to pick it up. Put it someplace that you know you can't reach. Put it in the back seat. Put it in your backpack. Just don't have it where you can put your hands on it. When it comes to music, get a playlist. Know exactly what station, so you're not, hunting for a good station. Most of the time, we want to look at our phone because we're late and we want to text people, I'm a little bit late. Don't worry, I'm coming. Pull over the side of the road. From the time that you pull over, text it, get back on the road. I bet you it's 30 seconds. Organize your time better. Make a better effort to stick to what you want to do. Don't, get your license and say, I'm going to not text and drive, and then you find yourself 2-3 months going, well, I probably should just check my email, or, here's a message that, someone's sending to me. I'll just respond to it. Just don't catch yourself doing that. It's really not worth it. So what are the penalties? Let's see if we can get right to the penalties. New Hampshire is using detectors not only for radar now for going speeding, but they can also tell sometimes that you're actually on your phone. Tennessee is actually using state troopers up in tractor trailers that are looking down at drivers as they go by. So he's radio up ahead and telling police officers, yeah, pull that car over. I see that they've got their phone on. Because when you look in your rearview mirror, it's really kind of hard to tell at some point. So here's the fine for New Hampshire. And I told you to look for a state. And maybe we'll do that right now. Put this in the group message here on YouTube so everybody knows what the state you had, how much was the fine in the state that you found. Let's see how it compares to New Hampshire. So New Hampshire is $100 first offense. Second offense is $250. Third, within 2 years, is a $500 offense. Now, most of the bullets on this, and notice it's been 5 years since this has been enacted. We're approaching our 5th anniversary. What you need to be aware of is the very last bullet, the very last dot. Teen drivers under the age of 18 will not be allowed to use any electronic devices, handheld or not, except to report an emergency, as I stated earlier. So 911 is the only thing that you can do. So what do you do if you have to call your parents? What you need to do is to put your signal on and find a parking lot, driveway, somewhere off the main paved portion of the roadway. So do not text anybody while you're on pavement. That's considered a roadway. So be very careful about pulling off to the side. You got to get all the way off. $50, $100, good. $250, wow, that's the biggest. And by the way, I had an Oyster River student that got stopped in Dover. They weren't with me. This was after they had their license. They got stopped in Dover, and they had to pay the $100. This was about a year after. Hawaii, $250. Look at that. Good job. Good job. All right. Excellent. So what I want to do for tomorrow is the first 15, 25 minutes, I'll wrap up any information that I forgot to give you, because I know there's some of you that have never filled up a vehicle with fuel before. So I do want to talk about that. And we've got to cover highway fatigue, because we didn't cover that very well when we talked about adverse weather. So go through your responsible driving textbook and go over chapters that you don't feel comfortable with, because remember, Saturday I need the textbook. Saturday at noontime, you're bringing your textbook with your payment, all right? That is going to allow you to take the final. So if I don't get a textbook with a check on Saturday at noontime, you're not taking the final, all right? You're not taking the final, and you don't get any driving time. I will also schedule people to drive tomorrow in class. We'll schedule out some drive times for Saturday, Monday, Tuesday of next week. So we'll start getting some driving times in. And I'll give you the sample questions at the end of tomorrow's class before I sign off, so you can do that. So from tomorrow's class till Monday, you've got 4 days to reread the book, the state manual, look at your notes, and get ready for Monday. It shouldn't be that difficult. It shouldn't be that hard. So I appreciate all the work that you've done and you've put in. I know this online program has been difficult for some of you because of studies that you had at the high school. It's a little bit different. We don't get the back and forth discussions that we normally do in class, but I appreciate a lot of you put a lot of time and effort into this class, and it won't go unnoticed when it comes time for your final grade that I give you, and for scheduling you for your driving. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So we'll see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, and we'll wrap up what we got left in driver's ed. Good night. See you tomorrow.